When I was studying in New York City, it was Easter. It was about to be Easter Sunday. I asked my superior if I can buy flowers for the church. He gave me $20. Not very much. But I did not know the price of flowers. So I went to this flower man who sells flowers, who his stand was just by the subway before you exactly go down. Every morning we greet each other. Hello, hi, have a nice day. So I thought we were kind of close, only for me to find out we were not. So when I went to his flower stand with a big smile on my face, I asked him, how much are these? And he said, they are $5. Three carnations for $5. I only had $20. Then I asked, what about these? And he said, those are $10. Two roses for $10. I mean, if you're going to decorate the church, that's hardly anything noticeable. On the third time I asked him and I pointed to another bunch of flowers. His answer was, you cannot afford. Oh my goodness gracious. I felt so third world. And the friendship that I thought we had, wala pala. And in my anger, I walked 3 blocks, in New York. 3 blocks is a lot. I went to this Korean store and I just pointed without asking how much. And when he told me how much, it was $150. That's a fortune for me because I was only spending $4 a day on food. Nevertheless, I walked all the way 3 blocks back, and I was parading myself in front of that man selling flowers. Anong akala mo sa akin? Poor? But the terrible, painful part was he hardly noticed me. For several days, I was giving him, because I had to pass by him to go to school, I was giving him dagger looks. And I had, so much anger inside of me for, my ego was so hurt. And I was miserable for days because I could not forgive him. He was probably sleeping very well, unaffected by my anger. One of my most memorable class when I was studying in Fordham was this. Something unusual happened. Our favorite professor came inside the classroom and he just started without greeting us. We were 46 priests from 32 countries. Without his usual warm greeting, he just went to the board and started writing. We did not know what was that all about. So what did we do? We started to copy. We didn't even understand what we were copying. Just copied. And then after a while, one professor went inside. We had 6 professors. One of them went inside, said a sentence, and, without saying anything, left. We were, what's that? We hardly noticed him because we were busy writing. And then another professor went inside, said the sentence. I don't even remember the sentence anymore, and then left. And then a third professor, and so it was becoming, what's this all about? There must be something here. So when the fourth professor came, I paid attention. And this fourth professor said this, and I still remember the words. He said, forgiveness is the key to happiness. Finish, he just left the classroom. So, the next professor entered, and he said, the root of all dysfunctional behavior is the inability to forgive. And then he left. And finally, the sixth professor came and he said, when you forgive, by that time we were listening intently already. We were finally understanding what this was all about. He said, when you forgive, you release a prisoner, and that prisoner is you. And he left. After that last professor left, the first professor who came and was writing so much on the board, he just erased everything and he left without saying a word. That was the most unforgettable class I ever had on forgiveness. It was not a class on spirituality. It was a class on psychology. Forgiveness. It is not easy to forgive. You know, forgiveness is, is an invention of Jesus. Among the Jews, there is no forgiveness. It is an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. In Islam, there is no word for forgiveness. You offend me, you insult me, they give you a fatwa, meaning anybody can kill you. And they've done that. In Buddhism, you know, they don't believe in God. There is no God who forgives. And the idea of forgiving is not a moral command. It is one of those means to attain peace. And you forgive yourself. You just say, I forgive myself, I forgive myself, I forgive myself. You repeat and repeat and repeat that. It's a mental activity. It is their way to end suffering. But they list 5 sins that not even you can forgive. It was Jesus. In the reading today, he said, I give you a new teaching. Forgive your enemies. This is originally from God. He invented the forgiveness of those who hate you, those who persecute you, those who wish you bad. And those people who harm you, you know, he said, give them cold water. That's not very easy to come by in the Holy Land. To quench the thirst. It is a radically new teaching. And it is so serious that Jesus says, you cannot be forgiven unless you forgive. That's not a metaphor. It's a real thing. You know, I don't really know which is more difficult, to forgive or to ask for forgiveness. From the parable that Jesus told us, he tells us God's response to an unforgiving servant who just owed the master a fraction. And his response is, wow, rather harsh. He will be handed over to the torturers. Itong metaphor na to, sobrang bigat. Because it's such an insult to God, who always forgives. And we find it above us, below us to forgive. We feel we are, you know, so entitled. It's acting so much like a child, so much in immaturity. I say this, and yet it's difficult. But you know, I discovered a way to forgive. It works for me. It might work for you. Every time we remember an injustice, a hurt that somebody has done to us, again, we kind of relieve the experience and we feel angry, we feel depressed, we feel so low, we feel so hurt. But all this coming back into our mind, this pain coming back to our mind, it's not meant to destroy us. It's meant to remind us to forgive. So pag naalala ko siya, oh, I have to forgive. When I feel the pain, oh, I have to forgive. It's not about that person again. I have to forgive. You know, pinaubaya mo the most important thing in your life, your happiness, pinaubaya mo sa kanya, and what? He didn't make a good job at it. So when we forgive, we let him go. Meaning, I want my happiness back. You're not in charge of my happiness anymore. You know that people in the hospital, people in the mental hospital, and people in jail, they are people who are unable to forgive because they hate themselves. So forgiving is not actually about that person. Forgiving is for me. I want to have peace. I let you go. I don't want you controlling my happiness anymore. When I say I forgive you, you are not in charge of my happiness anymore. You may go, you may go. Not able to forgive, I still make him in charge. He continues to hurt me. And I allow him to do that. No more. No more. Ayoko na. Tama na. Nasaktan mo na ako isang beses, nasaktan mo na ako, tama na. That's it. And how is that done? I find this is the way. Every time I remember that pain, I tell to myself, I forgive you, forgive me. I just say it. I don't have to be emotional about it. I just keep saying, I remember it again. I forgive you, forgive me. I wake up in the morning, I remember it. I just say it. I forgive you, forgive me. You know, one of the things I'm kind of puzzled about is that big cake from Conti's. You know, it's so tall like this, and every time, no matter how small you slice it, it's so big. And you know, you destroy the cake. And when people say, laki ng cake. Before you know it, ubus na yung cake. When Peter asked, how many times should we forgive? 77 times a day, Jesus said. What does it mean? My interpretation of that is, we just forgive and forgive. Bakit ba, Father, pinatawad ko na siya? Bakit ang sama-sama pa ng loob ko? Father, pinatawad ko na siya. Bakit ang sakit-sakit pa rin? It's not a once and for all thing. It's something that we do again and again and again. Every time we remember, our response, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. And one fine morning, it doesn't hurt anymore. We will not forget. You bang your head against the wall, you forget everything. But we will not forget this pain. And it's not meant to be forgotten. But it doesn't have to hurt forever. And when we say that 70 times, 7 times, you still remember it, but it's just an information. It doesn't hurt anymore. Pope Francis says, our families hurt us the most. Top-notcher ang ating mga pamilya. We receive many hurts from our families. But he says, when we forgive, whatever harm there is not effective anymore. He says, our families go through so much pain, but when we forgive, our families are saved from so much pain. And that is why that idea of forgiving, difficult, is what makes us Christian more than anything else. That is so proper of us. Because that idea of forgiveness, of forgiving, God means it. He means it. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Let us pause for a while and allow God to speak to us. In my experience as a psychologist, when I prepare couples for marriage, it's very important that, whatever issues they have, they don't bring it into the marriage because wala namang kinalaman yung bago niyang pamilya sa mga hurts niya. That's why there's no such thing as a marital problem. They are hurts, they are wounds that are still open. And when people marry, people closest to them touch those wounds. So I tell them, you spend the rest of your life together. And how dare you bring your issues to this new family? So spend time with your family. Find healing there. Squeeze healing from them. Because our families hurt us the most. But only our families can heal us. Only. No, we don't have to do any drama. Whatever like that. It's enough. Just come together. Eat together. Do things together. As the Pope says, no matter what happens, our families are saved. So we have this kind of gifts that bless. Right? There is this Italian finish, two-piece Belen. They are two-piece, meaning they are movable, those two pieces. And then we have this wood finish, Holy Family, and this ivory finish. This is the second version of Inay. Last year, we had the first version of Inay. They are unique gifts that cannot be found anywhere else. And they are all in a craft gift box.
If you buy and pay by September 24, 5 statues and above, free delivery around Metro Manila.
All this is part of our kind of fundraising for the building of the Ephesus house. All right. We have starting on October, okay, we have this series of interactive modules on those dates. There are 5 modules for the price of 4. So first one is the difference between, what is the difference between counseling and spiritual direction? Then the art of self-sabotaging, because you are what you think. And then there are 2 modules because it's kind of, plenty of things to, it's a lot of practice has to be done on EQ. EQ. Success is not in the IQ, success is in the EQ. This is the game changer to efficient performance, effective leadership, and genuine ministry. And then there's determinants of ministry health. There are factors that determine whether a person will be healthy in whatever he is doing. Okay. These are things that you might want to attend or you might want to give to somebody, especially priests and nuns and teachers and even parents. I think it's a good gift to give. All right. Thank you.